Hey guys, it's Matt here from Darksided, and I want to make a video today addressing the 3 rosters that have departed from the organization in the last few days to the last week. We've seen the Counter-Strike team, the Hearthstone players, and the Rocket League team all make a departure from the organization with pretty limited press release around it. So that's the intention of this video, is to kind of give you a behind the scenes and transparent look as to why these have happened. I feel like it's much easier for me to explain the point of views and the decision making around this through a video instead of what you could probably grab through written text in an article. So if you have been hanging out, I do apologize. It wasn't an instance where we were looking to just cover it up and not address it. It was actually me just figuring out OBS to make a recorded video. But nevertheless, before I do jump into it, I do just want to mention that all the separations that I'm about to go through, they all ended very positively and very mutual. There's no animosity between myself or the organization or any of the players or teams that we've parted ways with. So if you were looking to come here with like a pitchfork or some negativity, you're not going to find it. The separations are probably some of the best that I would ever hope for in esports. So I'm nothing but thankful to how things have sort of been left with these players. So I'm going to address the rosters separately because it wasn't just a 3 roster drop from our point of view. Every single roster had its own sort of scenario and was dealt with differently. So it's not just me explaining, yep, we decided to drop all 3 or anything like that. They're all got their own scenario. So without further ado, we'll jump into Hearthstone. So Hearthstone's very simple. We signed the 2 players, which was Husey and Mr. Lego, at the start of the year. And at the start of the year, the roadmap for Hearthstone looked really healthy. There was a lot of events scheduled for the APAC region and worldwide. Some that were open and some that you had to qualify for. And soon after, we ran into a really simple issue where registering for a tournament would fill up instantly. Very much like buying a movie ticket to someone popular, where you need to be at your computer on the second to buy the tickets. The players were having this issue where they would be there on the registration landing page on the minute, on the second it would go live, and they would still miss out. And that's just because there's so many Hearthstone players, so many high level Hearthstone players around the world. And it was starting to show a lot of disappointment from the ecosystem that Hearthstone is, and the players felt that too, and so did we. And it was a real shame because we really enjoyed having those players. They're really good blokes. We got along with them really well, and they're just very genuine. And it was a real shame to see that they weren't able to do what they like. Imagine being a pro in your game and you don't even get to play in competitions. That sucks. So we sort of sat down with the team and we just said, hey, the resources we're allocating to Hearthstone are going to waste purely because of how, silly this system is. And the boys are really understanding of it. And, to this day, they never got to play a competition under Darksided, which, is astonishing. So we decided to just end the partnership that we had going there and move on. So moving on to the next roster is Counter-Strike. So I think this is probably the most sought after explanation as to why we departed from Counter-Strike. So the contracts for the Counter-Strike team ended at the Supernova LAN, which they went, and they narrowly, I think, missed making it out of group stages. So after the Counter-Strike LAN at Supernova, the team lost their coach, which was Elmer Putty, and they also removed James from the starting lineup, and there was not much publicity around those 2 moves, so this may be the first time of hearing it. So we had to make a decision whether or not we were wanting to stay in Counter-Strike or whether we didn't, and if we did, were we wanting to support the same team because it's essentially going to have a different dynamic. So that was a lot of thinking on our end, and we sort of decided that coming into the next 6 months to 12 months of Darksided, we don't think that we're going to have a very Counter-Strike heavy presence. We have a new focus, which we want to focus on Overwatch and Rainbow Six and our fighting games division and stuff like that. And at the time, it kind of gave that team the perfect chance to rebuild. So they had lost their captain, they lost their coach, and now walking away from the organization too, it gives them a chance to just create a new identity for themselves, start fresh, build themselves up. So the boys were nothing but supportive of that decision. We had a great time with them at Supernova Land, so it was sort of the perfect way to end that little venture. So yeah, again, no animosity. It was a really good separation. In saying that, if you are eager to see Darksided in Counter-Strike, I'm unsure of the future of Darksided in Counter-Strike, but nothing's ever certain. So, which leads to the last roster I want to address, which is Rocket League. And Rocket League's a little bit different. So this was the team departing from the organization. A little bit different, as the last two I've addressed are us departing from those sort of games. So really simply put, Rocket League, just like League of Legends and Counter-Strike, a lot of the top teams are compensated with a salary, and it was getting to the stage where we're thinking it's just unsustainable. And it's not my call to make, but even the amounts that some of the other organizations are throwing at the Rocket League players seems very unsustainable to me. It's sort of like a tier structure. Like you have Chiefs, you have Tainted Minds, you have Darksided, you have Legacy, and you have yada yada yada. Who else was in the Pro League? And upon renewal of the contract, so the last few weeks we've been sitting down with that Rocket League team and being like, hey, we've got to work out what we can do for each other to make this work again. When we signed him in November, I took a lot of pride in being one of the few organizations at the time that was paying a decent amount for the Rocket League players. But obviously, like, esports develops a lot in 6 to 7 months, which is a great thing. So there's no negativity in that aspect. But it essentially came down to, when there's organizations paying more to their Rocket League players, who are doing less, that's results, social media influence, everything like that. It becomes a problem. And, I wholeheartedly see it from the team's point of view when, you're ranked, second or third in Australia, and there are teams, getting 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th or whatever, earning more money, and their results are less, their influence is less. It sucks, and I don't blame the team. So we pretty much tried our best to fulfill those needs, but we can't. Darksided isn't an organization backed on like venture capitalist money or angel investment, or owned by an AFL club, paying bills and stuff like that. There's no issues with organizations that do that. That's fine. That's just not what Darksided currently is. So everything that you see that Darksided does is, from the culmination of hard work of us and the sponsorship money that we receive. So we can't promise outside of those means. We're not an organization that will overpromise or promise, falsely promise. So, it's just a lot of hard truths with the Rocket League team. It's like, what you're asking for is very reasonable. We cannot fulfill that. So at the end of the day, it was just a mutual separation. We wish nothing but best of luck to them and all the other rosters that we've said goodbye to. And that's pretty much it. That's addressing everything that's happened with those rosters in the last week or so. If you enjoyed this kind of sit down with me with the video, do let me know in the comments, because I do enjoy doing it. I don't do it often. So if there's anything you want me to talk about or address, just let me know, and I'll, make more of an effort to get in front of the camera and have a chat. But until then, yeah, take it easy. Thanks, guys.